Throughout the majority of history, money has been easily identifiable. From fiat currencies to precious metals, worth has been signified by material significance or a governing body. That is until the creation of a new style of money, a phenomenon in the digital world. Hey guys, it's Hayden here, and today we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Specifically, why is it worth so much, and how did it go from being worth virtually nothing to tens of thousands of dollars? Is the value likely to increase or fall? And how do we get to this point in the first place? In January of 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin on the cusp of the 07-08 financial crisis. Just a few years before, the Dow and S&P 500 hit their all-time highs. This rise was short-lived, as the US banking system would almost fail, in part due to the collapse of the housing market. In the wake of this disaster, the Dow and S&P 500 would lose over 50% of their value in less than 2 years. Satoshi created an alternative way of transacting, as he saw a need for a way to transact outside of the traditional banking system. Bitcoin became a secure and semi-anonymous way of transacting. It solved a need for transacting in a digital world and gave a unique option to those seeking alternative ways to transfer money. An overly simplified explanation of how Bitcoin works is that Bitcoin uses a blockchain to record and verify every transaction so that no false payments can be made. When a user wants to send another user Bitcoin, they will enter that user's public Bitcoin address into their wallet and then attach a small fee, usually worth a little over $1, that goes to the miners transferring the Bitcoin. This fee is known as a mining fee and is an integral part to how Bitcoin works. The Bitcoin miner confirms each transaction, allowing for a high level of security. Every 10 minutes, a new block will be added into the blockchain. User 1's Bitcoin must be combined with a block by a miner in order to successfully transfer. A transaction is considered to be confirmed when a transaction is added to the block and goes through the confirmation process. A confirmed transaction cannot be reversed. The user can select how many confirmations they would like their transaction to go through. The more confirmations that are required, the less of a chance a transaction will be invalidated. The transaction data is stored in Bitcoin's blockchain and can be viewed by anyone. Bitcoin soon became a favorite for criminals and tech specialists. However, in order for Bitcoin to gain legitimacy and become widely available, a currency exchange had to be created. The first major Bitcoin exchange was Mt. Gox, and it was a key to the rise of Bitcoin's adoption. In 2010, the creator of Mt. Gox, Jeb McCaleb, repurposed his website to connect Bitcoin buyers and sellers. Mt. Gox was originally made as a platform for enthusiasts of Magic the Gathering to buy and sell cards related to the game. However, this plan never came to fruition, and instead, Mt. Gox would eventually become the largest Bitcoin exchange in the world. Up until the creation of Mt. Gox, there were few ways of acquiring Bitcoin besides mining it yourself or setting up a transaction on a Bitcoin-related forum and using PayPal as the purchasing agent. After Mt. Gox became of high demand, McCaleb sold his stake to Mark Karpeles, and under Karpeles, Mt. Gox would experience tremendous highs and tremendous lows. Mt. Gox was necessary for Bitcoin to reach a new level. Without a way to exchange Bitcoin for other currencies, it would be difficult to convince a broad audience that Bitcoin has value. However, soon after the creation of Mt. Gox, one of the most important events in the history of Bitcoin would occur. Silk Road was a darknet drug bazaar that was built using Bitcoin as a purchasing tool. The alleged creator of Silk Road was Ross Ulbricht, whose darknet alias was Dread Pirate Roberts, or DPR. He considered himself to be a libertarian activist and felt as though Silk Road was a way of challenging the government. When DPR first launched Silk Road, he grew and sold 10 pounds of psychedelic mushrooms as the only vendor on his drug bazaar. The beginnings of Silk Road proved a concept and would soon expand. An escrow system would soon be created to increase buyer trust and to help avoid scams. The escrow system worked by having the buying party deposit Bitcoin into an escrow. Once the product arrived, the buyer would release the Bitcoin in the escrow and the vendor would get paid. When there was a dispute, a Silk Road administrator would handle the disagreement and either release the funds to the seller or refund the buyer. Despite the products being illicit, Silk Road sellers would send their products through the US Postal Service and would often go as far as providing a tracking number for their customers. Buyers and sellers were protected through simple encryption methods, allowing for a relatively secure operation. The original intentions of Silk Road were soon lost. DPR went from a creative scientist who wanted to undermine the government to show his displeasure with certain policies to a crime lord who would do anything to protect his operation and himself. Silk Road was taken down in October of 2013, resulting in the largest government seizure of Bitcoin ever. DPR was arrested with over 140,000 Bitcoins, which would be worth billions today. Many copies of Silk Road would soon arise, following in the footsteps of DPR after his arrest and imprisonment. While Silk Road didn't provide Bitcoin with any favors in the aspect of mainstream legitimacy, it demonstrated its usefulness as a currency. When combined with an escrow system, Bitcoin was just as effective or even more effective when compared to a credit or debit card. Bitcoin also offers a much higher level of security. A debit card is connected to a user's checking account and withdraws money that was previously deposited. A credit card essentially gives users a small loan for each purchase that must be paid at the end of the month or else a fee will incur. Both of these processes are inherently flawed, as a third party must process the transaction and debit or credit card information can easily be stolen to the owner's detriment. Bitcoin doesn't have a security flaw, and it doesn't require a third party. As we start to conclude, the simplest way to explain why Bitcoin has value is it offers a secure way for users to transact without the need of the banking system or physical contact, and has demonstrated its purchasing power through various outlets. Bitcoin is now a legal tender in El Salvador and is used every day around the world. As we look forward, this trend is likely to continue. Instead of a developing country using their own currency or a large fiat currency that could potentially lead to undesirable regulatory and trade issues, they could instead use Bitcoin as their tender and avoid these issues entirely. Adoption is really what drives the price of Bitcoin, and as the most widely used cryptocurrency, it is looking as though its mainstream adoption is imminent. As more users and countries continue to adopt Bitcoin, its value will likely rise. It will be interesting to see where Bitcoin will go from here. Will it become a commonly used currency? Possibly. It's still a mostly unexplored entity that many are not familiar with. It's amazing how far it has come in 10 years, and it will be fascinating to see where it will go in the next 10.